Every morning of the week, as Donna said, and as you probably all know, we meet together to read the daily word. And we do. And we share our lives and our experience with each other. And a great wisdom seems to emerge from that time, coming from a number of us, coming from all of us. A wisdom comes through. A couple of months ago, we were considering the daily word, and the idea of intention came up. It wasn't the word of the day, but that idea came up. And when it came up, a couple of people in the group shared a time earlier when here in Payson, at the Payson Center for Spiritual Awareness, they were part of an intenders circle. That circle, of course, had the goal of bringing those intentions to life, to manifest in life. And the support that people gave each other helped to bring that to be. So right there and right then, an intenders circle was born here at Unity of Payson. And we began that very week to meet together, and we evolve. We still continue to evolve in our ability to intend that which we desire, to be prompted by spirit to the action that's needed, and to support each other in that. You've undoubtedly heard the maxim, if you have the desire, the wherewithal to fulfill that desire is also within you. Whatever you truly desire is yours. I'm not talking about wishing or craving or even longing, although that gets a little closer, but your true heart's desire that stays with you. It sticks. It's just there. It's part of you. In order for that desire to be fulfilled, there must be some kind of action, and the primary action is that of your intention, setting your intention. To fill your mind with that desire that has purpose with it or goals attached to it. That's what we're considering today as we look at the law of intention and desire. So this chapter is chapter 5 in the book, and Chopra begins the chapter of the book by speaking about the quantum field being composed of energy and information. Right there is where I got a little confused, because I was sure there was some truth in that, but it was hard for me to comprehend that, to pull that quantum field energy information. It just didn't resonate with me. So I worked this week to break that down, to try to understand for myself what this law might be. So my favorite name for God is all that is. Works very well for me. And that means that divine energy encompasses me and generates everything. In fact, I am generated from that divine energy. I'm a creation of that divine energy. And I also realized I call that source, or we call it source often, another name for God. I also realized that a truth that has stuck with me is that in this world of ours, around us, in fact, in the whole universe, is a substance. There is substance in that that's not manifest, that hasn't taken form, but that substance is there. Wallace Wattles calls it a thinking stuff from which everything comes. So that began to make a little more sense to me. That, in fact, was the divine energy that is there deep within, the source of all. And that substance that surrounds me, from which all the desires that I have may be made manifest and take form. So then it was a little bit easier for me to understand what Chopra was talking about when he spoke about an energy and information. I could take that God, that divine energy within me, and the nature of the universe, thinking stuff from which everything takes form and becomes manifest. So we, of course, have taken form as a result of this process, the process of manifestation. But in that taking form, we're in no way separate from the divine where our genesis lies, but in fact, we are expressions or extensions of the divine. Now, we talk about this a lot, being a divine expression. But if we look at that from the other end of the telescope and look back, as it were, to the divine, that all that is, that source, we realize that the divine expression going the other way has still a connection. And that pure consciousness that is a divine is expressed in our individual consciousness. And that our consciousness has a connection back with that divine consciousness. So all that means to me is that I, as an expression of the divine with a consciousness that is divine within me, which can go wayward, but when I stick with it, that divine consciousness connects to the energy and the substance around me in order that I may manifest in my life my true desires. Let's get down to how it works. When I have a desire, a true desire, and I release that into that great, enormous field of possibility that is the divine, that thinking stuff, as we've said, it has an impact. Matter of fact, if that desire is a pure desire from me, that impact cannot help but reach out for that thinking stuff, that substance, and that energy to in fact create what I desire. And that is the law, as Chopra puts it out, that we, connected with all that is, are able to, in our lives, manifest and bring into form that which we desire. A couple other things that Chopra talks about that I think are very important and important to me is the idea of attention and intention. Two words, very close. But attention, where we put our awareness, where we have our awareness, and intention. Taking that desire that we have with one pointed intention, focusing on what it is that we desire, putting aside any distractions and things that would take that desire and diminish it. And in that one attention, our intention in the field of attention, will bring to us, as we submit to it, as we surrender to it, that which we desire. So I want to go back just a little bit to my own personal experience. Since we began the Intender Circle, we've begun to put forward our intentions, that which we know is within us that we really have a desire for. And I've begun to see some results of that as I step by step evolve in the process. For me, it's a matter of spiritual practice. I've moved from stating that intention once a week and then coming back to it a week later and hoping I've done something on it, to the point where that intention or those intentions, for they are multiple, are something I visit every day. The first thing in the morning, I look at those intentions. I hold them in my thought. Whenever I go into the silence, I bring those intentions to the silence with me. Whenever I'm ready to go to sleep at night, I review them again. So I take that one pointed intention, that focused attention, put them together to work with me as I seek to bring into form that which I desire. I can report one result. I have always had the desire to be trim and fit. And you may have noticed that I probably have just a little more weight to really be trim and fit. However, I did have a belief, and have for most of my life, that there was a floor through which I could not go. I could only go down to a certain place. For me, it was a certain number of pounds that I carried. And I just could not get beyond that. I did all sorts of things, exercise, diet, but I had the belief that that floor was where I had to be, even though beneath that floor by another 15 pounds was the intention and the desire that I had. So I think I'm making some progress this morning. I got on the scale and I broke through that floor. Not by a lot, but I broke through that floor. And I have great faith that the process of setting that intention, staying with it, will work for me in bringing into my experience, manifesting for me what I desire, that and a number of other things. So how do we do that? So Chopra gives us some ideas on how we can take this law of intention and desire and put it to work. I just want to share those with you because I find them to be true in my life. First, he says, slip into the gap, that space between thoughts. So when we go into meditation here on Sunday morning, or when you go into meditation on your own, when you're with yourself in that quiet of the day, in that quiet place, that's the gap where thoughts can be let to go aside. That space between the thoughts. Slip into the gap. That's why we speak about doing this before going into the silence, or on waking, or on retiring at the end of the day. Slip into the gap, number one. And secondly, there, release your intentions and desires. Not release in the way you're getting rid of something that you don't want, but just allow them to be released into that field of great possibility. Release your intentions and desires. Remain in awareness, in established awareness of your true self. Who are you? Don't allow some other force, some other person in your life to take you away from that. As you go within more and more, you know your true self. Remain established in that. And then this was a biggie. Relinquish your attachment to the particular outcome. That's part of releasing your desires to surrendering to how they may be fulfilled. I suspect that as we do this, we may in fact get more than our initial desire was. What we can do is this or better, and we may often find better as we are able to relinquish our attachment, or the how. We're able to surrender to how that comes in our life. We take our fingers off, lose control, or allow control to be relinquished. And then finally, let the universe take care of the details, because that's not our job. And the details will be wondrous, marvelous. The more we form those clear intentions, the more we surrender to the outcome, the more it will be ours. The more those things that we desire will come into form in our life. And so it is. I challenge you to work on giving your attention to that which you know is a true desire for yourself, and then intending that with single pointed attention, focused and held firmly, full of purpose. Do that, and you will bring into your life that which you desire. And so it is.